Imagine fighting the same battle for almost your entire life. For nearly half a century, one family has been locked in a relentless fight for justice against the man who murdered their daughter. This is a story about a promise, a system that felt unforgiving, and a battle that spans generations.
And it really all comes down to this: a promise. These were the final words of a dying father, passed from one generation to the next. That single sentence just captures the incredible weight this family has been carrying, a duty to their daughter and a deep, deep fear of the man who took her away.
13. Think about that number. That's how many times the Solano family has had to get in a car, drive to a prison, sit in a sterile hearing room, and argue that their daughter's killer should not be allowed to walk free. 13 times they've had to relive their absolute worst nightmare. And that brings us right up to the present day. 45 years after the crime, the family is getting ready for what they hope will be the last battle, at least for a little while. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. Harriet Solano is 92 years old, and she is still leading this fight. The passage of 4.5 decades has done absolutely nothing to lessen her fear or her determination. For them, this isn't about vengeance. It's about safety. So how on earth did it all start? To really get the depth of this family's betrayal, you have to go all the way back to the beginning, when the killer wasn't some monster. He was just the boy who lived right across the street. You see, what's so wild here is how deeply intertwined these two families were. Stephen Burns wasn't just some boyfriend. He was practically family. He was a big brother to Kina's little sister, Nina. And Kina's dad, Mike, he gave Steve a job, mentored him, treated him like he was his own son. They trusted him completely. But, underneath that perfect surface, something was really, really wrong. As high school was ending, Kina wanted to be free, to go to college. His response? A truly chilling threat. He told her if she broke up with him, he'd kill her. Then, in a move that's just so ominous looking back, he secretly enrolled at the very same college she was so excited to attend. He was, in effect, stalking her. And this is where the story just shatters. On her very first day of this brand new life, Stephen Burns made good on his threat. He met Kirana on campus, shot her in the back of the head, and then just walked away. He left her there to bleed to death, while he went back to his dorm to watch Monday Night Football. You'd think the arrest and trial would have brought some kind of closure. Instead, for the Solano family, it was a bitter awakening. It was the beginning of a lifelong battle they never, ever expected to fight. So even though Burns had stolen Kina's father's gun weeks earlier, the jury didn't find that he had actually planned the murder. The verdict came back as second-degree murder, and the sentence was 17 years to life. Now, for the family, that key word was life. But as they were about to find out, in the eyes of the justice system, life didn't mean what they thought it did. And this slide right here, this just perfectly illustrates the disconnect that fueled their 45-year fight. The Solanos heard life, and they thought, okay, life, he's gone forever. But the reality of the system was that he was eligible for parole after just 10 years. They were understandably outraged. So in 1990, they fought back. They actually chartered a bus and filled it with friends and family to travel to the prison and protest his release. This was just the first skirmish in what would become a very, very long war. After that first hearing, where Burns was denied parole for 2 years, the family made this simple, powerful promise. We'll be back. And boy, did they keep it, again and again, through a dozen more hearings. And each time, it was the same fundamental conflict. Because at the heart of every single one of these hearings is a fundamental question. After 45 years, should an inmate be released? And the system presents two very different and pretty compelling arguments. Okay, so on one hand, you have the case for his release. It's based on a lot of modern ideas about justice. Look, he was just 18, and California law now recognizes that a teenager's brain isn't fully developed. He's 63 now, which makes him eligible for elderly parole. In prison, he's earned a degree, he's worked with hospice patients, taken rehab courses, and statistically, people like him are the least likely to reoffend. But then you have the case against him, and it's just as strong. The family lives in genuine fear. Prosecutors point out that his story of what happened that day has changed over a dozen times. He's never admitted to the stalking or planning.
And maybe most damning, a professor in prison reported seeing the exact same obsessive, manipulative behaviors that led to Kina's murder in the first place.
So, with these two arguments clashing, we land right back where we started, the 13th hearing in January 2025. This is the culmination of that 45-year promise. Inside that hearing, reporters who were there said Burns once again denied that he ever planned to kill Kina. His delivery was described as totally flat, monotone, and just seemingly without any emotion, even after all this time. And you know what? That demeanor was not lost on the parole board. In their decision, they delivered this powerful conclusion. They basically said the core issues, the obsessive control, the minimizing of his own actions, that led to the murder seemed to be exactly the same, even after 45 years. And there it was, the final verdict. Stephen Burns was found unsuitable for parole. The board handed down a 5-year denial, which is the longest they could give. For the Solano family, you can only imagine the profound relief. And what's truly remarkable is how this fight completely transformed them. Nina, who was traumatized by having to testify alone at 14, became a prosecutor specializing in domestic violence. And her mom, Harriet, founded Crime Victims United, a powerful advocacy group that has successfully changed hundreds of laws in California to better protect victims. Just 4 days after the verdict, on what would have been Kina's 64th birthday, the family went to her grave. That promise their father made them keep had been honored once again. It was, as they put it, the best birthday present they could possibly give her. So this story, it gives us one answer from a parole board, a reprieve for the next 5 years. But it leaves all of us with a much, much bigger question. In a case this tragic, this long-lasting, how do we even define justice? Is it about the punishment fitting the crime? Is it about whether a person has truly been rehabilitated? Or is it about finally giving a family the peace of mind they've been fighting for nearly 50 years?